Welcome into New Orleans Saints Now. I'm your host, Trace Gerard. I have Abby Alonso joining me today because the Raiders have cut Derek Carr. It is official. It has gone down. It's happening. The Saints could go and sign him. He is available. He is available to be signed immediately. He doesn't have to wait until March to be signed. We just wanted to kind of get on here, get a reaction, break down some stats, break down some analysis, give our thoughts, and explain why or why not we think that the Saints should go and sign Derek Carr. Abby, I've given a lot of my thoughts. I've explained why I think the Saints should go sign Derek Carr, but I'm interested to see what your thoughts are on the situation.
I think at this point, they don't have many options, and this is kind of unfolding and giving the Saints an opportunity to sign a quarterback who's proven that he can be a game manager. He can do some good things. Bring him in here, leave some room to go draft receivers and do whatever else you're going to do in the draft. But if this opportunity is presenting itself, why not grab it? We thought a trade was going to happen. It kind of works out that a trade is not happening. Not only does it save us money, but we also don't have to give away any draft assets.
Absolutely.
So this is kind of falling into place. Why would you not take advantage of that?
Most definitely. And I think it's one of those situations where Derek Carr, like you said, is one of the best available options you have. Yesterday, we broke down some other targets like Baker Mayfield, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett, just to name a few of them. And I think that Derek Carr is probably the best thing you're going to get because you can't not saying you can't, but Lamar Jackson's realistically out of the picture. Even if you go and get a quarterback in the draft, I don't necessarily know if I want to run with the rookie week one. You need to bring in somebody who can mentor and teach a young guy. We have an offseason plan an offensive offseason plan that we are going to explain later, but I think that Derek Carr, like you said, is just a better option. He has a little bit of a clutch gene, which you'll break down later, and I think that he can do some good for the city of New Orleans. I think he can bring some good energy to the Saints organization, and I think that he could be the leader that the team, quite frankly, has been missing for some time now. But guys, we want you guys to weigh in and let us know, do you think that the Saints should sign Derek Carr? You might get hit with the YouTube ad break, so if you do, take advantage of it. Let us know your thoughts. Should the Saints sign Derek Carr? Type S for sign, type P for pass. Let us know. All right, so just to break down some stats for you, Derek Carr is one of those guys who he's never going to be the situation, he's never going to be the player, I think, that loses you games. But by that same token, I don't necessarily know if he's always going to be the one who wins you games, because he has good stats, he can put up good numbers, but he has a clutch gene that can be turned on and off. And by that same token, he has no playoff wins. He has a losing quarterback record. It's kind of a weird situation, but Derek Carr has always been in a bad situation with the Raiders. He hasn't had good teams around him. When you take a look at the stats he's had over the last 4 years, you can see they're up and down, left and right. The completion percentage has always been relatively high. The yards have always been pretty impressive. But the thing that I like the most about Derek Carr is he always has a good amount of touchdowns. And outside of these last 2 years, it was a good touchdown to interception ratio. And I think that Derek Carr, with a better team, a better offense, and a better scheme around him, could find a lot more success. And if you take a look at his stats from this past year, in December, in Week 13, 53.3% completion percentage, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And the common trend here I'm seeing is that things just weren't working out. Things weren't going well in Vegas, and I think that he knew that his time in Vegas was coming to a close, and I think that it was one of those things where he knew that he didn't want to be in Vegas towards the end of the stretch. And at the end of the season, they started Jarrett Stidham over him because the Raiders wanted to have the ability to trade him and for him to not get hurt. There was that whole thing about him possibly getting hurt at the Pro Bowl. Obviously, things worked out. Things are now panning out to where he has been cut and released, and now he's a free agent, can be signed at any time. But if anything around Derek Carr happens, we are the channel that will have it covered. So be sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications. Abby and I are going to be providing Saints coverage, Saints news, Saints rumors, and Saints updates all season and all offseason long. Be sure to lock us in and let us know. And subscribe and join our squad today. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers before Vikings now. But if you want to stay locked in on all things Derek Carr and all things Saints, we're the place to be.
Look, and there's been questions, okay, how will he fit into this New Orleans offense? Well, let's look at his rankings among active NFL passers right now. This is barring Tom Brady. Tom Brady is retired, hopefully officially. It sounds like he's going to Fox in a couple years, but this is active passers as of now. He is fourth in game-winning drives with 16 and third and fourth quarter comebacks with 28. So why am I bringing this up? Well, because the Saints have shown plenty of times that sometimes they're incapable of finishing out a game when you really need that last drive to be a game winner, or you just need some momentum, all gas, no brakes. Somebody has got to be able to step up. Andy Dalton struggled with that. The entire offense struggled with that. But Derek Carr seems like a guy who can come through and kind of finish out. Now, we did see the Raiders blow some games, so I'm not saying that he is the only guy that can do this, but if you look at the statistics, he has proven that he is able to finish out games. Look, his career stats, they're good. They're not GOAT status. They're not horrible, but Demario Davis and Drew Brees came out and backed this guy up. As a Saints fan, those are two guys that you look at so highly and you think of so highly that when they say, hey guys, listen, I know you've got trust issues with this organization, but I think that he could be a good addition for this team, then as a fan, like I said earlier this week, you have to trust that. Right now, we don't have too many options. Like I said earlier, this opportunity is just being handed to us. I think you jump on it. He's got something to prove. We don't know if he was the problem in Vegas or if it was Josh McDaniels or if it was just the whole Las Vegas Raiders team that just couldn't get it together. We don't know. We won't know until he goes somewhere and he's able to prove himself. He's got a fire going right now. He wants to show people that he's not done. He can go somewhere else and continue to build his career. And I think if the Saints give him more protection and maybe some more weapons at receiver, I know that's something that the Saints are looking into, he could be a good bridge to the next franchise quarterback. I don't think he is the future of the Saints by any means long term, but I think he is a good transitional quarterback. You've been in this kind of like weird floating situation with Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton. You really haven't had any stability since Drew Brees left us. I think Derek Carr might be the next step to give us a little bit more consistency, teach the younger guys, whoever they bring in, and then kind of lead us to our next franchise quarterback. I think you got to jump on the opportunity. Right now, it's lining up too well to pass up. If you want the Saints to make a move at quarterback, like the video. And again, you don't like the video, you're lying, because we're all tired of the quarterback talk. Just make a move already. If it's Derek Carr, make it Derek Carr, but get something done. Like the video if you agree.
Yeah, and there is also an interesting report coming in from Ian Rapoport, who's been kind of on and off with this whole Derek Carr situation. He's had some stuff right. He's actually gotten quite a bit wrong. But he did say, expect Raiders quarterback Derek Carr to receive significant interest when his release is official at 4 p.m. today. But the veteran won't be in a rush to sign. He's already visited with the Saints, who are still in the mix, and don't be surprised if more visits follow before a decision is made. I think, honestly, what are your other options? If you're Derek Carr, what are your other options? Because at the end of the day, you got Washington with the Commanders. You have Indianapolis, who just brought in Shane Steichen. You have the Raiders. You're not going back to the Raiders. The Packers are got Jordan. There's no better spot for Derek Carr to try and revitalize his career and try to stay that franchise quarterback level than in New Orleans. And I think that these are some moves that the Saints could make, or that the Saints should make, in order to further help Derek Carr. I think that you obviously go sign Derek Carr. Bring him in, get that done. Let's get that done today. Make it done as soon as possible, because honestly, the longer he's out there, the more I'm going to get nervous that a deal isn't happening. because I don't want to get stuck with like Baker Mayfield or something. Next, I think you still go draft Hendon Hooker. I've said it all season. I've said it all off season. I've been saying this for weeks now. I still think you go get Hendon Hooker in the draft. I think he's a valuable piece that you can develop and you can get out there sooner than you actually would believe. I think he's a little bit more NFL ready than people are chalking up, but I think he's a solid guy that the Saints should definitely go and get to learn from Derek Carr. I think he's somebody who could teach him a lot. Next, bring in a contested catch wide receiver. And I think that bringing somebody in who can make those tough catches, who can be a ball hawk, who can go and be aggressive at the ball with strong hands, I think that's a guy that that's a position that the Saints need to add some depth at. I think we have a list of guys that we're going to break down here in a second. And I also think drafting a running back is a big one. You need to bring in some help for Alvin Kamara. I think a guy like Tyjae Spears, Bijan Robinson, or Jahmyr Gibbs are all three options that I personally like. I think those are my top 3 running backs I would take. But if you take a look at the wide receiver options in free agency, these are the top free agent wide receivers that the Saints could go and sign. Jacoby Myers, Juju Smith-Schuster, who's fresh off a Super Bowl win, as well as Mecole Hardman, the speedster who has a little bit of an injury issue but can do a lot of damage whenever he plays. Allen Lazard. This is our big body guy. This is the guy who can make some aggressive contested catches. He also is a pretty damn good run blocker which also brings some good value. Darius Slayton. I also like Darius Slayton. When the guy's healthy, the guy can produce, and I think that he's somebody that the Saints should go and explore in free agency. But I want to ask you guys this as well. I want you all to weigh in and let us know, who do you want the Saints to add, whether it's in free agency, draft, trade? I have reason to believe that the Saints are going to bring in somebody at wide receiver because, quite honestly, you're losing some guys in free agency. You're going to have to cut some guys to make some cap space, especially if you want to pay Derek Carr. But I want you to let me know, who do you want the Saints to add at wide receiver? Who Dat Nation, thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.